Russia faces a significant challenge in its Kursk region. A state of emergency was declared there on August 8, 2024. This came after a large-scale incursion by Ukrainian forces. The Kursk region, located on the Russia-Ukraine border, has become a focal point in the ongoing conflict. The recent incursion by Ukrainian forces has heightened tensions and raised concerns about a potential escalation of the war. The Russian government is taking the situation very seriously. They are deploying all necessary resources to repel the attack and restore order in the region. The declaration of a state of emergency grants the Russian government extraordinary powers. The Russian military has been placed on high alert. The world is closely watching how the situation unfolds. The Ukrainian incursion began with a daring attack on the Sudzha gas hub. This is a critical energy infrastructure located in the Kursk region. Ukrainian forces, using a combination of ground troops and artillery, targeted the facility in the early hours of August 8. The attack caused significant damage and disrupted gas supplies to the surrounding areas. This bold move signaled a potential shift in the conflict's dynamics. It demonstrated Ukraine's resolve to take the fight to Russia. The Kremlin condemned the attack as a terrorist act and vowed a swift and decisive response. They immediately deployed reinforcements to the region to counter the Ukrainian advance. The attack's success has emboldened Ukraine. It has also raised concerns among some in Russia about the effectiveness of their country's military leadership. Russia responded swiftly and decisively to the Ukrainian incursion. They launched a multi-pronged counteroffensive to repel the Ukrainian forces and regain control of the border regions. The Russian military deployed additional troops, tanks, and artillery to the area, bolstering their presence and intensifying their attacks on Ukrainian positions. The Russian Air Force conducted airstrikes on identified Ukrainian targets in the Kursk region. These strikes aimed to degrade the Ukrainian military's capabilities and disrupt their supply lines. The Russian military employed a combination of conventional warfare tactics and advanced weaponry systems. The Russian response has been met with fierce resistance from the Ukrainian forces. The fighting in the region remains intense, with both sides exchanging heavy artillery fire and engaging in close-quarters combat. The Russian military's counteroffensive has succeeded in slowing down the Ukrainian advance. Ukrainian forces continue to hold some territory within Russia, and the fighting continues. Section 4. Addressing the crisis, emergency measures, and humanitarian aid. The Russian government has implemented a series of emergency measures to address the crisis in Kursk. The declaration of a state of emergency has allowed the authorities to mobilize resources and provide assistance to those affected by the fighting. Evacuation efforts are underway to move civilians away from the conflict zone. The government has set up temporary shelters and is providing food, water, and medical supplies to those displaced by the fighting. Social services are working tirelessly to address the needs of the affected population. The Russian government has also announced plans to compensate residents who suffered losses due to the Ukrainian incursion. The situation in Kursk remains challenging. The priority is to ensure the safety and well-being of its citizens and to restore peace and stability to the region. Section 5. Ukraine's stance, a calculated risk for strategic gains. The Ukrainian government has confirmed its involvement in the incursion into Russia's Kursk region. However, they maintain that their actions are defensive in nature. They say that they are responding to what they perceive as Russian aggression. Ukrainian officials argue that Russia has been using its territory to launch attacks on Ukraine. They say that they have the right to defend themselves even if it means taking the fight to Russian soil. Ukraine's decision to launch an incursion into Russia is a risky one. It could escalate the conflict and provoke a harsh response from Russia. By taking the fight to Russian territory, Ukraine aims to relieve pressure on its own forces elsewhere along the front line. The Ukrainian government's decision to launch an incursion into Russia is a gamble. Section 6. Global reactions and the uncertain path to peace. The international community has reacted with a mixture of concern and condemnation to the escalating violence in the Kursk region. The United Nations has called for an immediate ceasefire and a return to dialogue. Many world leaders have expressed alarm over the potential for the conflict to spiral out of control. The United States, a staunch ally of Ukraine, has condemned the Russian invasion and provided military aid to Ukraine. However, they have also urged restraint and cautioned against actions that could further escalate the conflict. The European Union has echoed these sentiments. They have imposed sanctions on Russia and provided humanitarian assistance to Ukraine. The conflict in Ukraine has exposed deep divisions within the international community. The path to peace remains uncertain,